We start with breaking news. Aurora fire crews are looking for a person of interest in connection to multiple fires overnight.
Yeah, fortunately, firefighters acted fast, but they had to put out as many as 10 back-to-back fires in one Aurora neighborhood. Denver 7's Christian Lopez joins us live. This is near Iliff and Peoria, and you're hearing from people who now need a place to stay.
Yeah, Brian, we talked to a family of 6 who was displaced, and right now they're temporarily staying in a vacant apartment, but they pretty much lost everything. And this is not the only fire that is under investigation. Aurora Fire also tells us that there were around 10 other fires that happened overnight, and they were set in places like bushes that were next to buildings, in fields, and in dumpsters. But the most destructive one was the one that happened at this apartment building, and we spoke with Laura Flores, who told us that she was the one who alerted her 6 family members that this was going on.
So I wake up like everybody to get up now. I grab my dog and all my family, and I just scream like, fire, get out.
A very terrifying situation for that family, but she does tell me that she is just thankful that they are safe. And we're going to continue bringing you the latest information as soon as we get it. We are live in Aurora. I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Very dangerous. Thank you, Christian, especially with the winds that we've been seeing over the last 24, 48 hours. Want to get right to Lisa for a look at those conditions this morning.
Yeah, not ideal for any sort of a fire. We have a number of alerts still in effect here today, and you're going to see more high wind warnings. Fire danger is still going to be high. Take a look at this shot here from Westminster, looking into the mountains where we've got some cloud cover there, and we picked up some snow here within the last 24 hours. The camera not that bouncy. We've seen speeds this morning at around 15 to near 30, 35 miles per hour, so it's not as bad as what we saw yesterday and definitely not last night. Things calmed down overnight. We're still going to see some gustier conditions at times, though, so take a look at these alerts that cover pretty much all of eastern Colorado, down and through the San Luis Valley there. Red flag warnings, fire danger high here in areas shaded in pink, and then high wind warnings covering pretty much all of eastern Colorado. Now, most of these alerts here in effect through late afternoon, early evening, and then we'll start to see tomorrow some calmer conditions. It's still going to be breezy on Thursday, but it will be warmer. Today is going to be the chilliest day on our Super 7 day, right around 40 by 10 o'clock. We're in the 30s now, and then we'll see highs right around 50 this afternoon. Quite a bit warmer this weekend. Details on that coming up here in just a few minutes.
And right now, the overall drive isn't too bad. If you hear of a couple of problems, there are a few here and there. Really, it's not that bad. And you can see from the camera up here near Erie, just a gentle roll of the camera. Yesterday, it was bouncing all over the place from the stronger winds, but right now, not too bad. Take a look at the map, and we do have some heavy traffic up there. I'll get to that in just a second. If you hear of a crash at I-225 near Mississippi, from the camera over there, there were a couple of cars way over to the side, long cleared. You still see some slow and go, stop and go traffic. That's very typical right now on the northbound side. From the drive time over there, about 15 to 20 minutes, about 20 minutes on that southbound side, with a lot of stop and go traffic coming down from Parker Road with those meter lights in effect right now, right there at I-25. Here's your drive time up to the north side. I-76 also really busy. If you hear of a crash up here, it's on 88th, not on I-76, and you can see the east side of town also pretty busy.
We're headed into more high fire danger across the state with high winds and red flag warnings. Yesterday, firefighters acted fast to put out this small fire in Boulder County yesterday morning before it reached surrounding homes. But in a major disaster like the Marshall Fire, they might not be able to respond everywhere at once. That's where a new kind of service from insurance companies comes in. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is looking into these contracted wildfire defense teams.
Well, when there's a wildfire nearby, your first thought is probably protecting yourself, and then comes the thought about protecting your home. Waiting for those pre-evacuation notices or even those evacuation notices, and then having that thought it might be too late at that point, and that is exactly where these emergency response teams come into play. So the specific team that we're talking about this morning, it claims to be able to clear out anything that might be too close to your home and might be flammable as well. We're talking about things like shrubs, even furniture that's too close to, let's say, a door by your home. Some insurance companies, they've rolled this service out at no additional cost to homeowners partnering with these kind of companies. We spoke to an insurance agent who told us she's heard of these kind of services, and while they may be great options, she and her agent suggest this. Current fire conditions should prompt any homeowner to call their agent to check on coverage because of environmental factors like wildfires and, of course, those increasing home costs that we have heard so much about recently.
It really is a wake-up call that people need to be talking to their insurance professionals about how am I financially prepared for wildfire. What are my limits on my policy? How much am I insured for? What are my deductibles? And then how does my coverage work? I'm covered for wildfire risk.
Walker also suggests getting in touch with your agent anytime there's been an upgrade to your home, or even anytime you buy something expensive like a piece of jewelry and you're planning on taking it home, because you don't want to be underinsured if something like a wildfire were to happen. In Boulder County, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Thank you, Veronica. New trouble for the Aurora Police Department. A report obtained by Denver 7 shows a long and serious backlog of investigations.
An independent consulting firm found more than 2,500 crimes were never investigated. They include cases of child sex abuse, murder, and carjackings. The report says the backlog enabled suspects to reoffend when they might have otherwise been in jail. The chair of Aurora's Public Safety Committee is calling for accountability.
For me, this is just another example of the systemic failure of the leadership in our police department.
We spoke with the attorney for Police Chief Vanessa Wilson, who says her client isn't to blame. She instead pointed the finger at city leaders.
Chief Wilson, among others, has been asking for those issues to be addressed. It does not lie at Chief Wilson's feet. And if the city council had been doing their job, they would have been aware of this problem long before they leaked the report.
This all comes amid efforts to oust Aurora Police Chief Vanessa Wilson. Multiple sources told Denver 7 investigates Wilson's on her way out, but is still negotiating her exit through an attorney.
Aurora City Manager Jim Twombly says the report was very alarming to him as well. In a statement, he says, in part, quote, the issues it identified are patently unacceptable. While the consultant discusses them in terms of liability, I see them as a risk and danger to our officers and the community. Twombly says they've already made some changes in response to the report. There is now a police lieutenant with prior records management experience overseeing the records office. All remote work has also been shifted back to in-person. The records office will close to the public on Wednesdays now in order to focus on the backlog specifically, and police officers who are assigned to light duty will also be trained on the transcription process and temporarily fill in for the records office. You can find our full reporting on both the latest audit as well as the future of Police Chief Vanessa Wilson's job right now on thedenverchannel.com.
Turning to the war in Ukraine now, the Biden administration plans to announce a new round of sanctions against Russia. It includes a ban on all new investments. The European Union is reportedly proposing sanctions directly against Vladimir Putin's two daughters. The White House will also send an additional $100 million to Ukraine, helping its military buy more Javelin missile launchers. Russian forces are continuing their airstrikes in Mariupol. Civilians are still trapped and running low on resources. Here on the screen, you can see long lines of people waiting for food. Russian troops have prevented humanitarian access to the southern city.
And it's a question most of us are asking every day now. When will gas prices go back down? This morning, we're taking a 360 in-depth look at oil prices and how that's translating to the gas pump before oil executives testify before Congress today, and if releasing some of the U.S. stockpile will even make a difference. First, this Friday will mark a month since oil shot up to almost $124 a barrel. It has dropped back to about $100 a barrel for the last week, but the average price of gas in Colorado has only dropped 2 cents in the last week. Meanwhile, today, executives from 6 of the largest oil companies have agreed to testify before a congressional panel about the rising prices at the pump. Although industry experts say the oil industry is having the same problem as other companies, supply chain.
They may get grilled on why U.S. oil production isn't going up, but I think a lot of the answers are going to be very similar to things we're hearing in other sectors of the economy. That is, we're encountering significant labor challenges and headwinds, steel shortages. There's just a lot of supply chain disruptions that are affecting oil companies' abilities to raise production in a meaningful way.
Colorado Representative Diana DeGette chairs the House Subcommittee on Energy and Commerce and says Americans are suffering from the skyrocketing cost of gasoline, while some of the nation's largest oil companies are reporting record high profits. We will not sit back and allow the fossil fuel industry to take advantage of the American people and gouge them at the pump. Experts point out Congress doesn't complain about other industries making profits.
Oil companies have been posting $10 to $20 billion quarterly gains. Their margins or their profit margin is only about 10 or 15% on a good day. You compare that to the tech industry where Apple is making upwards of 40% margin. What are we really going after? Is it the percentage of profit being made, or is it the amount of money?
As for the oil releases, President Biden is promising, for some context, 1 million barrels a day can help our supply chain, but the European Union is also considering whether to stop buying oil from Russia, and that would mean a loss of more than 4 million barrels a day on the global market. CDOT is preparing for possible debris flows from the Colorado River this spring and summer. The agency and its contractors are almost done removing debris from the river. It was last summer I-70 through Glenwood Canyon closed multiple times due to slides that covered the highway.
The Avalanche are heading to the playoffs after beating the Pittsburgh Penguins 6-4. Nathan MacKinnon scored 2 goals. The Avalanche also became the first NHL team to have 50 wins this season.
I really like what I'm seeing. I feel like we're still like improving at this point in the year, and that's what we want to do, right to the bitter end. We're going to keep working on our game, and I think our guys are bought into that, and they're doing that.
The Avs are back on the road Friday night to take on the Winnipeg Jets.
Those games are so much fun, too. A simple act of kindness is opening people up to a growing scam. The new warning from police about payment apps. And a lot of people are on the job hunt right now. Why experts say even with high demand, you shouldn't skip the cover letter on the application.